Good evening, Dominica, the Caribbean, and viewers around the world. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Emo Nightly News, every moment online. In tonight's headlines, Mickey's Magic Show comes to Dominica for the first time. Container accident claims port worker's life. Police investigate fatal homicide in Maho. The Dominica Freedom Party welcomes Dame Eugenia Charles' inclusion on new ECCB banknote. CXC announces major changes to school-based assessments. Antigua and Barbuda launches program for 2026 Art Week. OECS French member states strengthen regional cooperation and security. At least 2 dead as flash floods batter southern Texas. And Barbados extend lead in CWI Rising Stars Under-19 Championship. Details of these stories and more coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. I'm your presenter, Rick Francis, and this is the news broadcast for the 17th of July, 2026. In local news this evening, families across Dominica are being invited to experience the magic as Circo Amano Suarez presents Mickey's Magic Show for the very first time on the island. The family-friendly production features beloved characters inspired by Disney classics, including Mickey and Minnie Mouse, Frozen's Elsa and Anna, Aladdin and Jasmine, Moana, Ariel, Donald Duck, Goofy, and the Genie, promising an exciting show filled with magic, entertainment, and fun for children and adults alike. The performances are being held at Massa Court, with shows taking place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, July 19, serving as the final day of the event. Admission is EC $30 per person for both adults and children. Organizers are encouraging families to come out and enjoy the unique live entertainment experience as the internationally known Circo Amanos brings its magical production to Dominica for the very first time. The Dominica Freedom Party, DFP, has welcomed the unveiling of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank's ECCB newly redesigned banknotes, describing the recognition of regional heroes as a fitting tribute to their lasting contributions to the development of the Eastern Caribbean. In a statement, the party commended the ECCB Monetary Council, governor and staff for the initiative, which features distinguished national figures from across the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union on the new banknotes. The DFP expressed particular pride that Dominica's late Dame Mary Eugenia Charles has been honored with a place on the redesigned EC $20 banknote, calling it a proud moment for the Commonwealth of Dominica. The party highlighted Dame Eugenia's historic achievements as the first and only female Prime Minister of Dominica, the first woman to serve as Prime Minister in the OECS, and the first female Prime Minister in the Caribbean. She led the Dominica Freedom Party from 1968 to 1995 and served as Prime Minister from 1980 to 1995. According to the DFP, Dame Eugenia's inclusion on the new currency is a tribute to her outstanding leadership, integrity, ethical governance, and significant contribution to both Dominica and the wider region. The party said these qualities likely influenced the decision to honor her on the redesigned banknote. The Dominica Freedom Party also extended congratulations to the other Eastern Caribbean nations whose distinguished leaders and national icons have been featured on the remaining denominations of the ECCB's newly redesigned banknotes. Director of Agriculture, Mr. Kian Stephenson, has emphasized the Ministry of Agriculture's continued support for education and youth development in Dominica and across the wider Caribbean. Speaking at the official launch of the EU Can Cultivating Futures, Empowering Youths for a Food Secure Region project at the UE Global Campus on Thursday, Stephenson told students that the ministry continues to work closely with educational institutions to promote agriculture, strengthen food security, and create opportunities for young people.
The 4-H program, or the revitalization of our 4-H collaborative efforts with the Ministry of Agriculture. Through these programs, we are ensuring that agriculture is no longer seen merely as farming, but as a pathway to innovation, entrepreneurship, climate resilience, technology, and a sustainable development of our future. Across our schools, we are introducing climate-smart gardens, hydroponics, agribusiness education, nutrition awareness, and hands-on agricultural learning experiences that inspire young people to become the next generation, or this generation, of agricultural leaders, a food system for innovators. Are you innovators?
Yes.
Yes? All right.
Mr. Stephenson emphasized that achieving long-term food security cannot be accomplished by any one institution alone. He said meaningful partnerships between governments, schools, regional organizations, and development agencies are essential to building a resilient agricultural sector and empowering the next generation.
No single institution can achieve these goals alone. Partnerships such as the one we celebrate today demonstrates the power of collaboration between governments, development partners, schools, communities, and young people. As Director of Agriculture, I reaffirm our Ministry of Agriculture and the government's commitment to working alongside our regional and international partners to cultivate not only crops, but also knowledge, leadership, and opportunity. Together, let us empower our youth, strengthen our schools, and build a food-secure and resilient Caribbean nation.
The EU Can Cultivating Futures initiative is funded by the European Union through its Global Gateway program and is being implemented by the Zero Hunger Trust Fund in collaboration with the Central Project Management Agency. The regional project will be implemented in Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with a focus on empowering young people through agricultural education, strengthening school feeding programs, and promoting sustainable food systems to create stronger schools, healthier children, and more resilient communities. History was made as St. Joseph University celebrated the graduation of its inaugural class, marking a major milestone for Dominica's only locally owned university dedicated to medical education. The graduates successfully earned their medical doctorate degrees, reflecting years of hard work, dedication, and perseverance in pursuit of careers in medicine. As they prepared for the licensing examinations, university officials congratulated the graduates and encouraged them to continue striving for excellence while serving their communities with compassion, professionalism, and integrity. The graduation marks the beginning of a new chapter for St. Joseph University as it continues its mission of training the next generation of healthcare professionals and strengthening medical education in Dominica. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force investigates a fatal shooting incident at Maho yesterday. Here is Public Relations Officer Mr. Fixton Henderson with more details.
On Thursday, the 16th day of July 2026, about 8:30 p.m., police responded to a report of a suspected homicide at Montjordin in Maho. One man, namely Al Toussaint, 34 years old, was apparently shot dead. On arrival at the scene, the officers found Al's lifeless body on the ground near his residence at Montjordin with multiple apparent gunshot wounds and a motorcycle on the ground near him. He was examined and pronounced dead by a medical doctor at the scene. Officers conducted on-scene preliminary investigations, and the body was taken to a funeral home pending an autopsy. Anyone with information relating to this incident is kindly asked to contact the Maho Police Station at 266-4845 the Criminal Investigations Department at 266-5165 or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477 or any police station. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force is also urging the public, especially the young population, to refrain from using violence of any kind, including gun violence, to resolve their differences. Condolences are extended to the family and friends of the deceased.
And with more sad news this evening, a young man from Tarish Pit has tragically lost his life following an incident at the Woodbridge Bay port. Unconfirmed reports suggest that a shipping container may have fallen on the victim. He has been identified as Otis. EmoNews is closely following this developing story and will provide updates as more confirmed information becomes available. We extend our deepest condolences to Otis's family, friends, and loved ones during this difficult time. And now taking a look at regional news this evening. The Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Authority has announced the program for the 4th Antigua and Barbuda Art Week, taking place from November 11 to 18. This year's event will feature new attractions, including the Dual Thresholds public art installation and a retrospective exhibition honoring the late artist Maria Isureta. The week will also include exhibitions, live painting, fashion showcases, culinary experiences, and cultural activities celebrating the country's creative community. The Tourism Authority is inviting artists from Antigua and Barbuda and across the Caribbean to apply by July 30 and is encouraging businesses and community partners to support the event through sponsorships and collaborations. The Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, IICA, says its mission to help shape the future of St. Lucia's agriculture sector is continuing with a series of high-level stakeholder engagements. IICA International Specialist in Soil and Water Management, Dr. Shanae St. Martin, has been meeting with officials from the Ministry of Agriculture, partner ministries and agencies, financial institutions, development partners, and private sector representatives. The discussions have focused on identifying practical solutions to build a more resilient and sustainable agricultural sector while highlighting priority areas for collaboration and investment. The IICA CATI mission will conclude with a working session aimed at defining actionable investment priorities that support St. Lucia's sustainability goals and the long-term transformation of its agriculture sector. The Caribbean Examinations Council, or CXC, has announced major changes to its school-based assessment system beginning in the 2027 academic year. The reforms are aimed at protecting the integrity of CSEC and CAPE qualifications as the use of artificial intelligence continues to grow. CXC says SBAs will remain for practical subjects such as agriculture, visual arts, and music. However, they will be replaced in non-practical subjects, including mathematics, English, and social studies, with a new exam paper completed under supervised conditions. Students will receive topics 1 month in advance, have extra time to complete the assessment, and be allowed to bring reference notes into the exam. CXC says the changes will help ensure assessments better reflect students' own knowledge and abilities. And lastly, in regional news, the OECS took part in the 19th Antilles-Guyane Regional Cooperation Conference and the Antilles Regional Security Conference in Martinique from July 1 to 3, where regional leaders discussed integration, economic development, and security. Key discussions focused on boosting Caribbean cooperation, supporting the region's creative industries, and strengthening the fight against drug trafficking and transnational crime. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit stressed that modern security goes beyond policing, highlighting the need for regional cooperation on cybersecurity, food and energy security, climate resilience, and economic stability. The conference concluded with the adoption of the Martinique Declaration, reaffirming a shared commitment to tackling organized crime and strengthening regional collaboration. And now for international news. At least 2 people have died and more than 230 have been rescued after life-threatening flash floods swept through southern Texas following days of heavy rain. Governor Greg Abbott says emergency crews have deployed boats, aircraft, and high-water vehicles, with search and rescue efforts continuing. Authorities say 1 person was swept away in a recreational vehicle, while a 74-year-old man died after driving into floodwaters. Forecasters warn more heavy rain is expected, with up to 8 inches possible in some areas. Officials are urging residents to stay alert and avoid flooded roads. The conflict between the United States and Iran has intensified, with both sides exchanging fresh strikes overnight. Iranian officials say U.S. airstrikes targeted key infrastructure in Hormozgan province, killing at least 8 people. They say 38 people have died and more than 400 people have been injured since the latest fighting began. In response, Iran says it launched missile and drone attacks targeting U.S. military facilities across the Gulf region. The escalating conflict has raised concerns over regional stability and global oil supplies. With continued disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz, diplomatic efforts continue, but there is no sign of an immediate ceasefire. And that's all for international news this evening. Stay tuned for the sports segment coming up next.
Coming up on the outside.
Sit down, my girl. Sit down.
Tina coming up on the outside.
Looky. Oh. No.
Welcome to the sports segment. Defending champions Barbados remain unbeaten after 3 rounds of the 2026 Cricket West Indies Rising Stars Under-19 Championship in Antigua. A 63-run win over Guyana keeps Barbados on top with 22 points ahead of the Leeward Islands, who moved into second after a commanding victory over the Windward Islands. Jamaica sits third, just ahead of Trinidad and Tobago on net run rate, while the Windward Islands and Guyana are still searching for their first wins. Round 4 takes place on Saturday, with the Windward Islands facing Jamaica, Barbados meeting Trinidad and Tobago, and the Leeward Islands taking on Guyana. And excitement is building as St. Lucia prepares to host the 2026 CBN Windward Islands School Games from July 24 to August 2. Young athletes from Dominica, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and St. Lucia will come together to compete in a spirit of sportsmanship, teamwork, and regional unity. Under the theme, 4 teams, 1 dream, the games will showcase the next generation of sporting talent from across the Windward Islands. Team Dominica will be competing in basketball, football, netball, athletics, and volleyball. And with some sad news coming from Barbados, the cricketing world is mourning the loss of a true legend, Barbadian cricket icon and national hero Sir Garfield Sobers has died at the age of 89. Widely regarded as the greatest all-rounder the game has ever seen, Sir Garfield made his Test debut for the West Indies at just 17 years old before carving out one of the most remarkable careers in cricket history. He scored 8,032 test runs, claimed 235 wickets, and famously set then a world record test score of 365 not out in 1958. Renowned for his elegant batting, versatile bowling, brilliant fielding, and inspirational leadership, as West Indies captain, Sir Garfield left an indelible mark on the sport and inspired generations of cricketers across the Caribbean and beyond. Knighted in 1975 and later named a national hero of Barbados, Sir Garfield Sober's legacy will forever be remembered as one of excellence, humility, and greatness. On behalf of the EmoNews team, we extend our sincere condolences to his family, the people of Barbados, and the entire cricketing fraternity. May Sir Garfield Sobers rest in eternal peace. And that's all for the sports segment this evening. Stay tuned for the weather report coming up next.
Hello, good day, and welcome to our weather broadcast for today, Friday, July 17th. I am your presenter, Annie Correct Joseph. Let's begin with the surface analysis. Currently, the National Hurricane Center, they're analyzing two tropical waves, one in the central and eastern Atlantic. Now, let's take a look at the satellite imagery associated with these waves. The first one near Africa has a 10% chance of development. However, further development is not expected as during the next 7 days as this wave moves out in unfavorable environments. Then the wave in the central Atlantic is expected to move over mainly the southern section of the Lesser Antilles by Saturday night into Sunday morning. Across the Lesser Antilles today, the Atlantic high pressure system maintained dominance. We had patches of low-level clouds moving across the islands, resulting in occasionally cloudy conditions. And as we zoom in on Dominica, we saw quite a bit of low-level clouds over the island, and this resulted in generally cloudy conditions. Radar imagery indicated some scattered showers during the early morning period. An increase in Saharan dust concentration is expected from tonight. As a result, persons who are sensitive to dust, you are advised to continue to exercise caution. Mariners, if you are venturing out, please take along your navigational devices due to the possibility of having low visibility. A reduction in concentration can be expected Sunday into Monday. However, still continue to exercise caution. Conditions for tonight: partly cloudy to cloudy skies with some scattered showers. Nights to be relatively warm, picking down to about 26 degrees Celsius along the coast, about 23 in the interior. Breezy conditions, winds to increase tonight to near 40 kilometers per hour with higher gusts, generally out of the east northeasterly to easterly. For the next 3 days, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a few showers tomorrow, Saturday, and increase by evening and into Sunday morning as the wave moves. However, thereafter, a reduction in shower activity. A few showers can be expected and extend into Monday. Temperatures to be warm, peaking to near 32 degrees Celsius along the west coast on Saturday, about 30 on the east, and Sunday and Monday, peaking to near 33 degrees Celsius along the west coast, while about 30 on the east. Nights to be relatively warm, down to about 25 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow, Saturday, breezy conditions to continue. Winds peaking near 40 kilometers per hour. A slight reduction can be expected on Sunday and Monday, down to about 35 kilometers per hour. Winds generally out of the east. Tomorrow, Saturday, swells to be up to or near 8 feet out in open water on the east coast, about 5 feet on the west. As we move into Sunday, a slight reduction is expected down to about 7 feet on the east, maintaining 5 feet on the west. And as we move into Monday afternoon, some improvement in conditions can be expected. Seas expected to go down to about 5 feet on the east coast and about 3 feet on the west. The sun will rise tomorrow at 5:43 a.m. and set at 6:40 p.m. The high tides will be at 6:11 a.m. and 6:51 p.m., while the low tides will be at 12:42 p.m. For up-to-date information, you can follow us on our WhatsApp channel. You can scan this QR code, or you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Dominica Met, or our website at weather.gov.dm. Thank you for viewing, and join us on Monday for your next weather broadcast. Good day.
And this brings us to the end of tonight's news broadcast for the 16th of July, 2026. I'm your presenter, Rick Francis, and on behalf of the entire newscast, we say thank you for viewing. This is Emo Nightly News, every moment online. Have a good weekend.